So being a leader is about how you see the world. It's about interpretation, right? We say one of the major qualities of a leader is vision. And after trying to understand vision and how it works, I define it as the ability to see people, places, and things, not just the way they are, but the way they could be. It's the ability to recognize potential, ability to see a seed and to recognize the tree in it that would have seeds that will become trees, ability to see the forest in the seed, right? So what we then do is shift mindsets so that we see people in a new way, see life in a new way, see the opportunities that people call problems, to the extent that what other people run away from is what we run towards, right? Just hearing our introductions, makes me realize in this room we have people that have vision, right? So I celebrate your vision. I celebrate your courage for starting organizations, non-profits, businesses, and so on. I celebrate, thank you, your unbreakable determination to succeed. Because you've got to have strong drive to have accomplished the things we've accomplished already. There's a lot of turbulence in our world right now. We have disruptions, the pandemic, and then so many other things. The war in Ukraine, and then so many things going, weather issues and so on. There's technology, ChatGPT, right? And then I'm reading, stories constructed by AI, and like, what? A computer generated this, not a human being. This world is going, some people are going to lose their jobs very soon, honestly, And so disruptions, changes going on, but then we just need the courage to move ahead, the capacity to recognize the opportunities in all of those changes that are coming up now, and just the courage to press ahead. I read something about Steve Jobs, and he said one of the most powerful principles of success he discovered as a young person was the power in asking. That's remarkable. He said at the age of 12, he was trying to do something, to construct something. He needed some material and just went online, got the emails of top CEOs and wrote letters to them. 12-year-old. Wrote one of the founders of HP, And he said most did not reply him, but is it Bill Hewlett now? He said that was the guy that replied him, and sent what it was that he was looking for. So since then, he told himself there's no crime in asking. I said, how many times have I heard that from the Bible? Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. I don't like asking. I don't like to bother people. I also don't like to hear no. Who loves rejection? But sometimes that I have asked, I have been amazed. I have received, right? So I just want to encourage us not to stop asking, right? Not to stop asking. So, this is how we structure the day. We're starting with leading business growth, and then we'll discuss sales leadership, then we'll discuss strategic leadership. That's how we structured it. And we'll take breaks in between, which will make it a bit more convenient or comfortable for those joining us online, right? I mentioned earlier on, we raise high impact leaders here. We shift mindsets. I need to emphasize something. At the end of the day, what we're actually doing is to build a global community. That's what we're doing. We're building a community. I've been part of communities now for some 4 decades. And empowering communities, And they've been life-changing, honestly. I understand at the personal level, that thing we read in the Bible, it is not good for man to be alone. I understand it. So at Daystar Christian Center, we've built a community of tens of thousands of people. It's powerful, it's empowering. There's a basic need that every human has. When you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it says at the lowest level, you have physiological needs, food, drink, sleep. And then next level, safety, security. After that, honestly, the other levels after that are intangible needs. When your material needs are met, intangible. And the first intangible need is the need for love, the need for belonging. It's an innate desire in us humans to belong to groups. That's why we love to belong, to groups. Because they're empowering. They even influence our sense of identity. I am this, I am that. You find it's rooted sometimes in the groups that we belong to, even starting from the family. So, right now, we're building a community of leaders, right? A community of leaders that will empower one another. As the world gets more challenging, it's so important to be able to associate with people because there's power in association. I remember when I read in Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's a principle that I've known for a long time. I read it from King Solomon. He who walks with the wise will be wise, the companion of fools will be destroyed. But Kiyosaki put it in a practical way. He said, take a sheet of paper, write the names of the 7 people closest to you. He said, if you're married, your spouse first. If you have children, he said, just write children. Give them only 1 space, right? He said, fill the remaining 5 spaces. He said, hold the sheet of paper in front of you. He said, you are looking at your future. And it was like, it just hit me, boom. He said, the quality of your life won't be better than the quality of the people on that list. Whoa. He said, you can change just 1% on that list and it will change the trajectory of your life. Many years ago, there was this research that was carried out on thousands of leaders, corporate leaders. And the researchers came to the conclusion that only 87% of leaders are strategic. 87% of leaders are operational leaders. Only 13% are strategic. What's the difference? Operational leaders can motivate people, get them to achieve goals in normal conditions. The strategic ones can motivate people to succeed in rapidly changing environments. So the operational ones do well when the conditions are stable. But once things begin to change, then the operational leaders find it difficult to cope. This is one of the things actually that made me have a very strong bias for strategy and strategic thinking. I was still a teenager when I just observed the pattern around. The tailor that, was making my clothes, some other shop on the street, gone. 2 years, 3 years down the line, fizzled out, shut down. What's going on? Individuals that were doing well in their career, gone. Career gone within a short time. And then it was coming closer home. People that I knew, thriving, doing well, and then 2-3 years later, gone, fizzled out, and I got scared because I saw the pattern. And it was like, I don't want to be finished before I start. What is it? What is it? What causes this thing? What causes a business that was there to not be there anymore? So if I can identify it, I want to deal with it before it gets to me, right? And I didn't realize that is what strategic leadership is actually about. If our strategic thinking, that's what it's about. That you are sensitive to changes, that you catch change while it's still happening on the fringes. When it's not getting the attention of other people, for you, you pick it and you can make projections ahead, and you can fortify yourself. Okay? So in fact, so then you are not afraid of change because it is inevitable anyway. So you actually are able to recognize the opportunities in change before the change arrives. Then position yourself to take advantage of those opportunities. So our bias here is strategic leadership. So leading business growth. One of the greatest challenges facing you as a business leader is this issue of growth. So like I mentioned earlier, there are broad areas that a business leader will be thinking about. The value proposition. What actually is it that people would benefit from our business? We've got to define it accurately so we can communicate it to them. We heard earlier on from Dr. Blessing, people move towards value. There's finance, revenues, profits, cash flow. Okay, so we have value proposition, we have sales and marketing. If we're not selling, we're not in business in the first place, right? The finance, the organization, as it grows big, you have to give it structure. The corporate development, now when it's big, then you find out, you know, like Dr. Alex said, they bought a construction company. Sometimes it is that you're having mergers. Two companies come together, or it's an acquisition. You buy, you know, a business, and there's the leadership dimension to it, right? So our bias is on leadership, and we're focusing on growth, sales leadership, and strategic leadership. So leading business growth, the first challenge we're trying to deal with, growing a business takes a lot of work and attitude, but it is very rewarding. Why don't a lot of people want to do business? Because it takes, first, attitude. You've got to be someone who won't cave in easy. Building a business is work. You're going to meet a lot of challenges, and if you are negative, if you have more tendency to go negative than to be positive, you're going to have heartbreak, right? Okay, because things are not always going to work perfectly. So, strong attitude. And that attitude, again, like I said, is a matter of perspective. It's amazing the way entrepreneurs think. It's amazing. What people call problems, the entrepreneurs sees as an opportunity. One of the services we offer businesses is an exercise that we call scenario planning. When we run it, I find an interesting difference between when we run it for businesses and when we run it for churches. So we name 5 major factors that create disruptions, right? Social factors, technology, the economy, the environment, and politics. Okay? We call them the STEEP factors: social, technology, economy, environment, climate change, and the rest of them, weather, and politics. So we split people into groups and we give one of the factors to each of the groups and ask people to imagine the worst things that could happen, worst disruptions that could come to change everything within the next 1 year. And we encourage them to push it to the extreme. Okay? Push it to the extreme. So this is what we found with churches, that they struggle. The church leaders struggle to imagine bad things happening. So I had to tell, some pastors like that, I said, what happened was a group, by the time they made their submission, because we asked each group to come and make a submission, everything they said was positive. And so we said, excuse me, we asked you to list the potential bad things that could happen. They said, we already imagined the bad things. We also preferred the solutions. That's why we moved on to the positive. I said, I know you're not comfortable with discussing negative things because you're a person of faith. See, this is negative thinking. I said, look, you can't have more faith than Jesus Christ. Have you read what he said would happen towards the end of time? He said there will be wars, rumors of wars, famines, earthquakes, okay, and pandemics or epidemics. So it doesn't mean you are negative, it just means you are smart. You have faith, but at the same time you are pragmatic, you are practical. You don't have control over the whole world. These are inevitable things. So don't worry about that. So once we've listed the potential negative things that could happen, then I say, look, this is why you're an entrepreneur. What are the opportunities in those bad things? I say, for example, you think about wars. I say, it's not everybody that prays that wars should end. That's why some of them stretch for so long. Wars make billionaires. It's people that manufacture the guns, manufacture the bullets, manufacture the bombs. When there's sometimes, if they could, they would instigate a war somewhere. Yeah, because they use up those things quickly. The military, the armies use up those things, so they have to manufacture. Some of them have to expand their factories while a war is going on. So it's not everybody that prays that problems should not happen. Have you seen a doctor praying that people should not be sick? At the same time, the doctor should not pray that people should fall sick, right? Please, don't pray. It's just naturally predictable that it will happen, right? So, we need attitude, that positive attitude. Also, businesses behave like living organisms. Many years ago, I read somewhere that every business has a soul. I said, what? Wait. So every business has a soul. Eventually, I found out, yeah, businesses behave like living organisms so they can grow. They have the capacity to grow. So you want to pay attention to that soul, right? And when they grow, they develop in phases and change in structures, change in their needs as they grow. And as they grow, the growth introduces complexity. That's why a lot of people will be comfortable keeping them small. You've got to be able to increasingly handle complexity.